Namaste and welcome to yAtrA, a journey through traditional performing arts. During this tough time of COVID 19, it occurred to me that we should try our best to first identify the good things that are present in our lives, take a moment to acknowledge and appreciate them, and also be thankful for them. While doing so, I found myself living here in Massachusetts amidst some really fine artists who have lived here and spent many decades teaching, performing, and sharing traditional arts. On this first episode of yAtrA, we have with us a very talented, beautiful, warm, loving, lovable, well known Bharatanatyam dancer. She's been teaching in the US since 1977, an acclaimed teacher, a wonderful performer, a great choreographer who has conceptualized and produced many productions in the US, a passionate dancer, a great giver, a strict mentor, and a loving mom and teacher to many students, and a great inspiration to many of us. I welcome Srimati Jothi Raghavan. Namaste Jyoti, welcome to yAtrA.
Hi, namaste, Aparna. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
Good, great, thanks.
Where are you geographically situated now?
Right now, I'm in a town called Corvallis in Oregon. It's a very beautiful, filled with abundance of nature, and
Wow.
so I feel extremely fortunate that I'm here and totally enjoying myself with my children and grandchildren. It's fantastic. Of
That's
course,
lovely.
being in Massachusetts, but at the same time with COVID, it really doesn't matter where we are where we are. So that is a big, big factor that's been sort of instilled in us with this experience.
That's basically we can go anywhere.
Yeah, we can go anywhere.
Virtually. Yeah, so we are so happy to have you here with us today. How has COVID-19 changed your life, especially with your dance classes and performances?
Yeah, big question. This experience of teaching online has been both challenging and rewarding. In the beginning, I felt lost. I just felt completely intimidated, and I felt like I'm not giving my all to my students because I'm so used to teaching one-on-one, and my teaching is very individualized towards each student. So not having them right in front of me and working with them was extremely difficult for me. But now I'm learning the tricks of the trade, as you say. You just had to, after all these 40 years of intense teaching, it was very disheartening for me that I'm not able to see them clearly on the screen and, shout at them for bending down and, going there and correcting their arms or whatever. It just was extremely excruciating agony for me. It was very difficult. But at the same time, I couldn't just ignore the students and say, okay, we can do it whenever the situation straightens out. So now, but both of us, I must say, when I say both me and the students, we have found via media, and I think the teaching has become just as effective. They understand, we sit and do the abhinaya so that I can see their faces clearly, and then I make them stand and do the nritta, and of course, I am teaching only my senior students. I'm not teaching very young students. I don't know how I would do that. That would be a lot more challenging. But yeah, we have found our niche, I must say, to be able to do this online teaching. We feel quite comfortable, both students and I. And The challenge is that, we had to postpone the entire dance season to next year. One advantage that we had was the Arangetram, the students who were going to have their Arangetrams were younger. They're not like finishing their high school. So we had this advantage of postponing it to next year. They really didn't lose much. In fact, I told them this is like a bonus year. They can work harder and even, present their Arangetram much better than what they would have done. And they've all taken it in good spirit. And we were also going to have a couple of productions that hopefully, we'll be able to do everything next August. So just treat this as, an advantage rather than disadvantage. And people are going through so much suffering, all over the world with the situation. So I don't think we have any right to feel like, we've lost out on something. In fact, use this to our advantage in getting more grounded and becoming more mindful of whatever we are doing. And that's one thing that I think COVID-19 has taught all of us, to be more mindful and be very aware of our temporary state, not take anything for granted, and enjoy each moment as it comes rather than planning constantly. This is what we were doing all the time. We were planning, okay, come January, we plan the Arangetrams and then start preparing for Arangetrams. So we were always living for another time, which we are not doing anymore. We are living for this moment. And this mindfulness is something that I think all of us have learned from whatever I've been talking to my friends and in my age group people, as well as younger people. This is what people, everybody's been talking about, becoming more mindful. So I'm hoping, we'll continue to have this same kind of attitude towards life, even after this whole thing is behind us.
Absolutely, Jyoti. Yes, those are beautiful thoughts and really some deep philosophy that you have brought out, and which is very true in today's reality. That's what we see. So everybody needs to take a step back and take a moment to see what we have in life. And I'm so thankful that we have some really really good artists in this area, and I felt it is my a duty to acknowledge that and also bring it out to my students and my friends so that they get to see the works of your experiences, and a droplet of your journey, if it's added in ours, I'm sure it'll enlighten us down the road.
Like I
So
was listening to you, Aparna, you are the energizer bunny, one after another. COVID has not slowed you down, and I'm just so proud of you and so impressed with all that you're doing. I'm very happy.
thank you, Jyoti. Thank you. You have inspired many of us, so thanks to you. So would you be able to share some information about your gurus and your most cherished moments with them?
Sure. Acharya Devo Bhava, as everybody, we all should be completely indebted to all our gurus. Mata Pita Guru Devam is what we say in our Indian philosophy. We respect our mother, father, and guru the same way.
Right.
In fact, when I came over here to this country, I missed my guru just as much as I missed my parents. It is so, I would have this pangs that I'm not able to go to my dance class and learn with him. It was very, very difficult for me. And my guru for dance is late Sri S.K. Rajaratnam Pillai, extremely kind and compassionate person who was very gentle. And at the same time, he would demand a certain quality. Just because he doesn't yell at me, that doesn't mean he's not a stickler for discipline, or the quality of dance has to be really high. So, and my cherished moment, he came in '86 for my dance tour. And we traveled for at least, I think, maybe a couple of months. all around the country with the musicians. And he, of course, he completely took charge of the musicians, training them and then training me, and really like a mom. That's Mata, Pita, Guru, Devam. He was, so concerned about my well-being, my health. In fact, when we performed, I would drive to various places, whether it's 1,000 miles or 500 miles or anywhere. We drove, and then I performed for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I'll come home, and then I have to take care of my children and cook and take care of the household. He was so concerned about my health, and என்னம்மா எப்படி நீ இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணிட்டே இருக்கிய, உனக்கு என்ன ஆறுது உடம்பு, like that. He was so compassionate. So I really, really cherish that tour that I had with him. And then, of course, I've had several other gurus in various other, like Kuchipudi, I learned from Chinasatyam sir. He was another very, very gentle soul who totally unassuming. He actually brought out Kuchipudi to the forefront, but totally unassuming. When you really talk to him, you wouldn't even know his greatness. And so was Kalanidhi Mami. Kalanidhi Mami was also completely down to earth, and she'll treat each one of us as her own child. And then CVC sir, what can I say about Guru Chandrasekhar? Oh my God! I mean, he would give us his all. He wouldn't even. I brought him a couple of times for workshops here to Boston area. He would teach a little child just as passionately as he would teach me. No compromise whatsoever. And he will get up and try to, he'll show. We'll keep telling him, it's okay, sir. Just sit and tell us what we're supposed to do, and we'll do it. But no. He won't do that. He'll just get up and he'll start dancing, and he'll show us. And his Aramandi, of course, is world famous. His even at this age, his Aramandi is so perfect. So I've had such good role models. And Dhananjayans, Akka and Anna, are so passionate about the art form, and they've helped the entire Bharatanatyam community. Really, anything you ask, they're there to help. So like that, I've had so many people that I look up to and who've been my inspiration. So
very nice, very nice. So beautiful that we get to hear it from you. I've read a few online, articles about, some of your experiences. And I came to this country in the year 2000, and the first big production that I witnessed was Shrishti by you.
That's right.
And I was just flabbergasted with the way it was done, with the choreography, with the amount of people that gathered to see the event. So I was just so astonished, and that was a big inspiration for me to continue and give it back to the community in small ways. So when I say you've been inspiring, I'm not just saying it, because it has really been a big impact on my journey, that I got to see each of your productions ever since, and then some of your arangetrams. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful blessing having you around us here. So in my opinion, dance is probably the only art form that uses all our faculties. It uses our physical coordination, memory, balance, mudras, footwork, expressions, voice. It was mandatory that dancers had to learn vocal, right? So among all of these, which aspect of it really interests you the most?
That's a very good question. But at the same time, I feel you cannot separate any one of those aspects. You have to be able to love each one of these aspects just as much as the other to become a complete dancer. You can't, ignore. I keep telling my students, and some of them are really strong in Abhinaya, and they think it's okay not to practice their Nritya aspect. they're all equally important. Balance is very, very important. Focus is the most important aspect in becoming anything, I think.
That's
you can't separate any one of these aspects that you mentioned. You have to be able to focus on each one of these aspects individually, and then focus on the whole, to become a complete dancer. When you practice, that is, when you practice Nritya, you practice it mindfully. When you practice Abhinaya, you practice it mindfully. So this complete attention makes what should I say? The dancer and dance do not become separate. Then, they become one.
So it basically unites the dancer and the dance.
It's yoga. Yoga means a mind and union of body and mind.
Right.
And our Natya is a yoga. So, in fact, I was thinking the other day, it's very funny. All our the human beings are made of three gunas: tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic. When I was practicing, I was just thinking, oh my God, do I have to practice? Do I have to do this today? And that is tamasic, right? And then you say, nope, you have to practice. And then you go into practice and say, okay, I'm going to stamp hard. I'm going to jump high. I'm going to, be very vigorous and make sure that everything is perfect. And, that is very rajasic.
Rajasic, yeah.
And then finally, when you surrender to dance, then you get into that sattvic quality and completely surrender. And by the time you come out of the practice, you're totally done, you're in that space. So to answer your question, none of these aspects can be separated. You have to be able to focus on each one, and, then only you become a strong dancer.
I think that's what has made you a complete dancer. You are just so equally good at all these aspects, and you have also made sure your students get a wholesome view of this art form. So it's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So how do you fight your struggles, or how do you identify your strengths, or what are some of your strengths and what are some of your limitations, and how do you constantly motivate yourself to keep doing what you do?
Okay. I feel my strength is Sarvam Krishnarpanam. And struggle is also the same, sticking to the path. It's always, our, you can say Sarvam Krishnarpanam over and over and over, but still, you get distracted because you're in this world. You haven't gotten out of this world of karma. So naturally, you constantly have to deal with this struggle of samsaram. And the same thing, same analogy can be applied to dance as well. You surrender to dance, but still, the struggle is keeping to that path and constantly motivating yourself to practice. And practice is not easy. It's a challenge
Right.
for all of, self-motivation. But one has to keep practicing, and you're practicing regularly. Body is an instrument, and you have to keep it tuned, oiled, and that is practice. So you just cannot say, okay, today I'm not feeling all that good. Maybe I won't practice, or I won't do my yoga, or whatever. If you keep saying that, then you pay the price. When it 10 days, you know how that is. Your voice won't work, or your body doesn't work. So you just have to keep that machine oiled. And it is a struggle. I can't say it's not a struggle. It is very much a struggle. And also not, I think, mostly, at least now you all have so many peers that you can interact with. But when I first came here, it was a very lonely place. There was nobody you can talk to, and there is no, like, we didn't have access to internet where we can just do this Zoom chat and stuff. Nothing. So we had to work on our own, completely on our own. There is absolutely no feedback or nothing, and that was a huge challenge. And to keep practicing for no reason, and especially when you're young, you want to perform, and performance was always the motivating factor for practicing, and there were no performance opportunities. And then, I mean, teaching has been a huge boon as far as that's concerned, because I said, I just have to teach whatever I know. I have to teach, because I was not a trained teacher like many teachers are right now, because they've gone through many institutions like yAtrA, and where they get to know, learn music and Atwangam and all the allied arts. We were just taught to perform.
Right.
And that's what our gurus teach. And we go to different places, perform, and whatever the teacher teaches, we dance to that. So we don't learn any of the other allied aspects of choreography or any of those things, which we had to learn everything by ourselves, without Wikipedia or without YouTube or without any of those facilities that you have right now, and then no peer contact whatsoever. So that was a huge struggle. But teaching definitely helped me, because when I saw a student and I could actually shape them up to be a dancer that, I visualized and, I remembered in Chennai or Madras of those days, I was really thrilled. Okay, I can actually create a dancer and dance with her,
Right.
And then we also had to work on developing an audience base, because that was also not there. So that's when I founded Academy of Indian Performing Arts, where we started presenting performances. So, that was totally a selfish motive, but of course, giving back to the community as well and building an audience base. So there presented so many dancers, acclaimed dancers like Dhananjayan and Chandrasekhar sir and Narsimacharis, and so everybody, when they came and stayed with me, I got to know them well. So there were just so many advantages. You always have to turn a disadvantage into an advantage. If I had lived in Madras, I might not have known any of these people really personally so well. And in that way, it worked out extremely well. So challenge and response is how you respond to your challenge is what life teaches you.
Very nice. Wonderful. I mean, you have made such a big impact. I can't imagine what you must have gone through being alone and, establishing such a big empire of, dance school. And it's been a pleasure, seriously. And we are very thankful. Of course, as you mentioned, we do have access to Wikipedia and YouTube, and we do have a lot of people in this area who have invested their time in art forms. But I know back then that must have been a really big struggle, and to imagine that today it's just something impossible for me, because I've been given everything on a silver platter, in my opinion. So it's important that we keep up with what we have been given. So what are some of your memorable performances?
There are many. Like I said, my performance tour with my guru was extremely memorable. Every one of the performances, and dancing to his singing is an amazing experience. In fact, people have commented on that. His music and your dance, that they sort of one. That is the biggest compliment I've ever had. And I performed for in the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is also a very memorable performance, to dance for the President of India. And then another very interesting experience I had. I don't know. I mean, it is like a memorable performance, but I can't say it is. as far as dance is concerned, it was memorable, but it was a memorable performance in the sense I danced for 20,000 people, which
Wow.
before it was an experience. And it was for the Rotary Club, International Rotary Club. And this was in Tallahassee, Florida. And, I've never acted in movies or anything like you have, Aparna. I don't know how, when you're projected on the screen, how you would look and things like that. And this, it's like they rushed you to the stage and it was pitch dark, and then just tell you, you stand there and you just dance. I'm not used to all that, but it was so much fun for me. Like any medium, like what we are doing now is a lot of fun. Anything new is so much fun. And then when I turned around, in doing some adabus when I was twirling, and then I saw this huge image of me, because they never had any testing or anything. They didn't, call me to the stage to test the lights or any of those things, which we do normally. This is just like, go dance, this huge image of me is projected on the screen, and they said, whoa, good thing I didn't get distracted. And that was an interesting experience. And if you say memorable, it is always for me dancing. For my dance is based on bhakti, and the closer you feel to God, it makes me feel like makes me feel fulfilled, more than dancing for like 10,000 people. Even if I have like 10 people, and if they're all coming completely on the journey with me, that is the most fulfilling experience that I have. I performed in Srirangam, and I performed, this was just a built-up stage, and then I performed for Andal in Srivilliputtur, right after when they give Andal a bath and comb her and everything, and then she sits and watches you dance.
Oh.
And you dance for her.
Wow.
And I did my Goda presentation for that. And I was just, when I was dancing Tirupavai, I saw all those people sitting around, and they were all completely, one with me. There was no like a dancer and audience. We were like together on this journey. And because they know each and every pasuram, they identify with Andal. And I said, oh my God, their grandmother, great-grandmothers, great-great-great-great-grandmothers, they must have been Andal's friends, when Andal went for her Pavi Nombu. These people, ancestors must have gone with her, and that gave me goosebumps. So things like that, those experiences are, huge. Then more than just dancing on a proscenium stage for the applause of audience.
Right.
You dance for a few people who are 100% with you. I think you understand what I'm saying.
Very well put. Yes, absolutely. I can completely relate to that. And but you have had some really proud moments as well. So dancing to an audience of 20,000 people is not a small thing. And dancing for Andal herself, these are like two different aspects, but yet very profound. So very impactful as well. So wonderful memories. And thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So when it comes to choreography, um, I have seen that there is a level of sophisticated approach in your choreography. And I wanted to know, how do you conceptualize a choreography?
The word choreography itself is, I'm not sure if that is the right word that we should be using in our Natya choreography, because it's a very Western word. I looked up the choreography on, in the dictionary, and it says putting dance movements together. For us, choreography is not just putting dance movements together. I don't even know if we should call, because of lack of vocabulary, we have to say something, so we just call it a choreography. And then who is a choreographer? Where does it start and where does it end? How do we own our product? We don't, I just feel this owning of a product itself is something that maybe I'm not able to understand that, because if Trinity and Annamacharya and all those great composers, if they start owning their product and then start demanding,
I'll be bankrupt.
Where am I going to go for that? I mean, somebody, my work, would think of it as a compliment, But in this world of internet and YouTube and people fighting over their choreographies and ownership, and I'm not able to understand that subject. So let that be. But when for my work, I don't want to call it choreography. I start with. It's always, my daughter makes fun of me. Whatever you go through in life, you want to put it on the stage.
I mean, it makes sense, right? It's your experience, being displayed in motion. So
yeah, so it's interesting. I was very much steeped into mythologies and classics and stuff. So I started doing, my first production was here. Unfortunately, we had to bring in the audience and attract and show them what Indian dance is. So I just did Indian classical and folk dance. That was my very, very first production. And then I did Valli Thirumanam. The funny thing is, I didn't have any lyrics, so I wrote the lyrics myself.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, Durga will, she's gone through, Durga and Tara, they've all gone through this journey with me. So we all laugh about those things. And then one of the, Revati, she's a Veena Vainika, Revati Ramaswamy. Her mom is a great Veena player. She set the music for those songs. And then we produced that. So that's how my journey started. And then we did Shakuntalam. Even for Shakuntalam, I didn't take the Kalidas as a script. I wrote my songs based on my grandfather's translation of Shakuntalam. K. Santanam, he's my grandfather, who has translated various Sanskrit works. And I took his book, and based on that, I wrote the songs. And Vasanti, one of my friends, musician friends, she set the music, and then Durga played, and that was our second or third productions. Like that, the whole thing, this journey started. And then I did several Ramayana productions, and then of course the Kanya, the production that happened in '96, was my mega production, which I did as a multimedia production, which all may seem very simple right now because of all the facilities that we have these days, but those days we projected the slide, and we had Partha Chowdhury did the acting of each poet. And that time I was like a very much of a, feminist kind of ideas I was going through. And I came across this poem, but a poem about, by Professor Subramaniam, who I was totally captivated by that poem, in which he addresses the poets of yesteryear and says, don't put me on a pedestal, don't worship me as a goddess, or treat me as a mindless toy and toss me aside, but treat me as a woman, Kanya, with blood, mind, and pitfalls. I'm equal. So I took that and I did that as a whole production, and I portrayed several characters, Sita and Draupadi and Shakti, and then a girl from Kama Sutra who gets attracted, she's used as a sexual object. Right. And then finally this Kanya, contemporary woman, comes and says, addresses the poets and says, So that was a huge accomplishment for me, because I had to put so many factors together, and then I got several grants from Massachusetts Cultural Council and New England Council for the Arts, and then I also got a choreographer's fellowship from National.
Wow.
So it was a huge accomplishment. And then I traveled with it all over the country in 97 and 98. So that is something that I'm very proud of. Of course, you saw Srishti,
Yes.
which was a collaborative production. I collaborated with Ratna Kumar in Houston, and then Hari and Devesh from Canada, and Narendra Kumar, and he came over from Chennai. So then we used my students here, my senior students, and then each one of the places, Ratna used her students there. So it was another very interesting experience. And I've collaborated with dancers from New York. So we've done, this journey has been very, very interesting. Each choreography is a baby. And is
right.
Every time a choreography is done, it's like a huge yagam. And
Right.
it's almost like getting a PhD every single time you do a production. And now I'm very much into Arvat Pasurams.
Wow.
That's what my focus has been for the past 15 years. And I've done productions, mainly solo productions, using, sparingly using some of my senior students. I've done on Tirumangai Alvar, Nammalvar. My journey started with Andal. So yeah, the journey continues.
Wonderful. So what I gather from all of this is basically you need to have deep understanding and vast knowledge of history, Puranas and Itihasas, and you need to have the time and patience to refer to some of the scriptures and make it as authentic as possibly you can, and then add a little bit of your your own twist or your own perception coming out, right?
Right.
So basically all this just tells me that it just takes many years to get that maturity as a dancer, to be able to understand a concept and work on it, plan for it and execute it. So it's not an easy task at all.
Yeah.
So
It
what
starts
is
like any architect who's ready to build a building. It starts with the drawing board. So you start with an outline, and then you start doing your research. You study, you listen to lectures, go to scholars, discuss the topic, and then slowly put it in form of music. Go to the musicians, talk to them. I've worked with some absolutely wonderful musicians as O.S. Arun and Rajkumar Bharati, great Rajkumar Bharati. And then latest was Varija Venugopal's daughter.
yeah,
She's amazing.
she
She
is,
sings
yes.
flute and composes music and everything. And she's only like 25 years old.
I
So,
know.
these musicians are just so amazing. You tell them and they understand exactly what you want. It's a collaborative work. There's so many things involved. You just don't come up with some product on your own. It never works
Right.
like so many people involved, and the dancers have to give their all.
Exactly. So the point is, when you see something on stage, it is so easy to, entertain yourself just watching it. But the amount of work that actually, the authentic work that actually goes behind, the screen is like just simply amazing. And I have been very interested in dance since from childhood. And I've taken interest in watching dance and understanding, how it is done, and then keenly observing the footwork, the gestures, the poses, and everything. Of course, I'm still a novice to this whole concept of Bharatanatyam. But what really interests me in the current scenario of Bharatanatyam dance world is uh, you know people don't understand the kind of hard work that goes into it. So anybody and everybody cannot just say, "Oh, I choreographed this I just conceptualized this," because I see that some of the really authentic works do stand out. So that brings me to the next question. What is your message to aspiring young dancers? You have to be absolutely honest here. You have to give the truth that they need to hear from the lion's mouth.
Okay. Oh my goodness. That is a huge burden on my shoulders. But anyway, what I did was write down some of my random thoughts.
Mhm.
Okay, this is not just about dance, about things. I mean, mainly dance, but anybody can listen to this and reflect on it. It's just some random thoughts. Um, okay, so first let me talk to the teachers. So, in my opinion, okay, humble opinion. I'm not lecturing to anybody, or I'm not judging anybody or any of those things. These are just my own experience, what I have lived through, and what I have tried my level best to be. So I feel a teacher should always remain a student. That is very, very important. Keep learning. When one stops learning, one stops living.
Beautiful.
A teacher should put the student's interest before hers, always. Each student is a challenge, and how you respond to that challenge shapes the student and brings out their best potential. Each one of my students is precious, as you know. Never lose sight of the fact that you have an important role to play in her life, and consciously or subconsciously. So they may forget about you, but they'll remember the lessons that you taught them. I remember vividly the thrill I felt when my first student performed her Arangetram. It was more thrilling than my own. That
That's so sweet.
now with each one of them. I know the parents come and tell me, "Oh, this is your 100th Arangetram or whatever," but it's always the butterflies in your stomach, and there's just the prayer for that child to do a good job and feel fulfilled at the end of the evening. It's such an enormous task that those children have undertaken, and you want with all your heart for the child to do well. So
Right.
Every Arangetram is important for the teacher, and every student is precious, and you feel so close to each and every one of the students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And to the students, Arangetram is a stepping stone, not the end. So please don't forget the lessons you learned along the way. The passion, determination, perseverance, hard work, the agony of practice, and the ecstasy of the performance. So remember all that and make sure you work hard, whether you're dancing or learning music or doing whatever. Just do it with wholeheartedly. That's very, very important. And okay, so now we've always used our bodies as the instruments to gain clarity of mind. I'm sure you all understand that, as artists, whether you're singing or whatever instrument you're using from the body, it's always it always gives you the clarity of mind if you throw in your all.
Right.
Practice each dance so many times. When you practice and practice and practice, the clarity happens and you get that aha moment. And nothing like it when you get that moment. We are all work in progress. Every one of us can use some more practice, some more practice and some more practice. Yoga, yeah, when you practice yoga, yoga is never called yoga achievement. It's always called a yoga practitioner. Yoga, right. You practice yoga, right? So it's always, right. You never become perfect. I mean, if you become perfect, you won't be a human being anymore.
That's true.
In everything, meditation is a practice. Everything is a practice. So you're a work in progress. Every one of us can use some more practice. The beauty of Natya is achieving stillness, the quietness that one arrives, at. In fact, a dancer not requiring to use too much of body movements is considered a dancer of highest quality.
Wow.
Okay? The subtlety is so important. I keep on telling my students, don't think just because you say it like that, it's anger. You show that, just with that, you should be able to show your anger. And with that, you should be able to show your sorrow. With that, you should be able to show your love. You shouldn't have to really, move and pounce on somebody and shake your body to show the emotion that is required. It's so important to develop that subtlety, and that comes with practice. If you see a really, really good dancer, they wouldn't have moved jumped all over the stage to show you their prowess. They're good just because they're able to, just with a little twinkle of their eyes, they're able to communicate whatever they're supposed to communicate. So that's when you become a complete dancer. So, like I said earlier, when a dancer becomes the dance, that's when you have arrived.
So. That is exactly what my grandfather used to say, my Guru Shri O.V. Subramanian, that you reach a point when there is no difference between you and the music. So that is yoga. And I am just absolutely, thrilled to hear the same from you. So you've been a guru to many of us here. So, yeah.
These are just random thoughts. I reflect on things and say, okay, what are we trying to do in this world, So the only thing you can do is to get better at whatever you're doing. Just,
absolutely.
Whether you're washing dishes or whether you're cleaning your kitchen, do a better job tomorrow.
Very well put. Thank you so much. And it feels like as though I read a book about you.
Oh my goodness.
But you made it so easy. I'm a very bad reader. So you made it so easy for me to, gain the knowledge about you and your experience. Thank you so much, Jothi. Definitely, I'm sure the younger generation and teachers like me will reflect upon what you have shared in your message to us. And we are extremely thankful to you for everything that you've given to our community and which you are continuing to give. I can't wait until I see the production and your upcoming programs next year. Fingers crossed, everything hopefully will come back to normalcy. And as you rightly said, this is a moment we need to, pause and look around and definitely learn from the situation and correct our ways into betterment. So thank you so much for sharing your valuable time, and stay home, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, you too. And I'm sure you'll be doing a lot of interviews. And all the best to you. You're becoming such a good talk show host.
Thank you. Thank you. This is my first time doing such a thing. I'm inspired by a lot of people who are doing this currently. And I want to just exploit the situation of COVID-19 because we have time in hand, we have technology, and we have gems like you around us. So we better be thankful of everything that we have. So that's the only reason I'm doing this. And of course, I want the student community to benefit from whatever you have shared. Of course, we have some more teachers coming to interview in this Kala yAtrA. And please definitely watch those as well. I will share the links with you. Yeah. Thank you, Jothi. Thank you so much.
So much to this initiative, and good luck to you. God bless.
Thank you. Namaste.